is one thing. We always get up into, get in this tabernacle here with the incense here, the galbanum, frankincense, stactate, and onycha. We get into all these things. That's representing, that carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen in our bodies. So this, hey, it fits when we talk about nothing escapes the pattern. No, don't nothing escape Yahweh Elohim, He the creator and the Savior. Yahshua the Messiah. Read. We're gonna finish that up for the bell rung.
Purple and scarlet and fine twined linen of skilled work, with cherubim shall it be made.
So you got these two cherubims, Michael and Gabriel. We have Revelation, the 12th chapter, talking about that war in heaven. I won't have time to get into that. Going down to the 33rd verse, and I'll finish it up with that.
And thou shalt hang up the veil under the taches, that thou mayest bring in thither within the veil of the ark of the testimony. And the veil shall divide unto you between the holy place and the most holy place.
So we can see that second veil has divided here, the holy place from the most holy place. Read and just finish up the 34th verse.
And thou shalt put the mercy seat upon the ark of the testimony in the most holy place.
Okay, so it's telling you where the mercy seat is. Okay, upon that ark of the covenant. And with that, I'd like to say hallelujah.
Before we call next speaker, we did want to welcome viewers on Zoom. And also, we want to make an announcement. There's a memorial service for Sister Helen C. Norfleet. She was a member of the class a while back. That's today from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. It's at the VFW Post, Bremen VFW Post, 2791, 7147 Oak Park Avenue and Tinley Park, Illinois. And that's from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m. And we announce it once again at the end of class. For our next speaker, we will hear from Dr. A.R. Smith.
Good morning, y'all. As always, I'm happy and glad to be here to give a testimony on what Yahshua Messiah has shown me. And it truly is Yahshua Messiah, if you were listening to the first speaker. And the reason why I say that is because this vision came in 1931, given to Dr. Kim. But our bodies that we've been walking around with have been over thousands of years, right? And it was through the vision, though, that Yahshua was able to show a pattern. And it's by that pattern that Yahshua is connecting the things of the world. Why? Because it's by that pattern that the world was created by. Now we talk about God and how He's the God of everything. And people say that, and they'll even hold it. They'll stand on it. Some people even die on it. But they can't tell you how. And that how is the pattern. As the first speaker went into. So I'm gonna just piggyback it. because she went into this pattern necessarily. Because it's by this pattern that we're able to understand anything about the Creator. Now, we can't see, touch, taste, feel, smell, it's spirit. Spirit is invisible. Now, to believe on something that you can't see, touch, taste, hear is not possible, right? Unless Yahweh did something about it. He did. And what he did was he transformed into this pattern that the first people was talking about. Now, Paul, because the scripture lesson is right. And I think I said the last time I was up there, I like when Paul writes because he's writing with the understanding that he's talking to carnal minds because he was once one. Same thing with this class. This is why we can come in and Doc can make the statement. There ain't nothing you can say or ask me that I don't have an answer to. Why? Because he was once in that position. Now Paul is writing and it's so straightforward because he knows that even in his carnal state, there was some things that still was wrong, no matter what. And even if they didn't understand why it was wrong, they knew not to do it. And where they got those rules from was from the law. And the first people went and talked about it, I was giving to Moses, and she went and got 25, Exodus 25 and 40. That law was given to Moses, but before it was even given to Moses, they had to come out of some sort of darkness. Right, and as they're coming out of this darkness in Egypt, they approached the Red Sea. Now, before they crossed that Red Sea, Yahweh drew a line, right? And he said, "Look, he stood. I think it's in the 19th chapter of Exodus. We can go read it. That cloud stood behind. It's still between the Jews and the Gentiles. It's still between the Egyptians." 14th chapter. 14th chapter. Let's get it read. That's all I'm misquoting. It's still between those coming, the Jews, and then Pharaoh's army.
This is Exodus.
Mm-hmm.
You want the pillar of cloud by day and.
I just want when they're about to cross, and before they cross, it goes from in front of them to the back of them. It's probably all that.
14 and 15.
That's what it is.
Okay, and Yahweh said unto Moses, wherefore criest thou unto me? Speak unto the children of Israel that they go forward.
Right, okay, yep, we're moving.
But lift thou up thy rod and stretch out thine hand over the sea and divide it, and the children of Israel shall go on dry ground through the midst of the sea. And I, behold, I will harden the hearts of the Egyptians, and they shall follow them. And I will give me honor upon Pharaoh and upon all his hosts, upon his chariots and upon his horsemen. And the Egyptians shall know that I am Yahweh when I have gotten me honor upon Pharaoh, upon his chariots and upon his horsemen.
Right, because Pharaoh was the God of the world at the time. So now Yahweh gonna prove himself to his people by taking down the God that everybody else thought was God, right? Because if you take down what somebody else believes, then you gotta replace it with something. Because Doc even said, I'm sorry, Keon. The Doc even said, don't come here and say something like Yahshua's name and not Jesus if you ain't got no means of proving, right? So now Yahweh got reason why I said it is Yahweh got to prove himself too. So if you can't do no proving, and Yahweh feel like he has to prove himself to us, then you saying that without proof is of no use. Go ahead.
And the angel of Elohim, which went before the camp of Israel.
Here we go. So now Yahweh with him. Go ahead.
Removed and went behind them.
Now he was leading them because they're in darkness. You can't see. They have to follow light. And now they were walking in circles like they were in this wilderness. Right? Walking in circles. So he had to lead them out of the darkness. So by leading them, he said, okay, so the angel got to be in front if you're going to lead. Okay, so now what happened? That angel goes what?
Removed and went behind them. And the pillar of the cloud went from before their face and stood behind them.
Now the pillar of the cloud, look, first Peter told you, moderator told you, the cloud symbolizes Yahweh. Now Yahweh is not a cloud. How you know Yahweh not a cloud? Because it said the cloud stood behind them. I ain't never seen no cloud with 2 feet. 2 feet, right? That cloud went from the front of them to the back. And so now we're not talking about a cloud no more, right? But in this scripture we are, and I don't want to dwell on that too much. I just want to get the point that Yahweh drew a line. And he's drawn a line between light and dark. Now the light was the Jews, or his people. And this is the physical representation of it. And they're crossing over into what Paul is writing about, this first compartment, what first people was talking about, this first compartment. Right? They're crossing over to that in the greater and more perfect tabernacle. Now they're crossing over that. The Jews and the Jews only crossed over to that. No Gentiles. Because if you keep reading, I'm not going to have you keep reading, because everybody knows the story. They drowned in the Ark. Pharaoh and his host. Not just his host. Ain't nobody come back and carry nobody back and say, oh, this. No, everybody died. Couldn't nobody tell no story but the Jews. Because everybody did. Go ahead. Go ahead.
And it came between the camp of the Egyptians and the camp of Israel, and it was a cloud and darkness to them.
Mm-hmm.
But it gave light by night to these,
There you go.
so that the one came not near the other all the night.
Right, because now look, they're coming out of darkness. It was a Stygian darkness, right? So they're being followed by a cloud. Now, if that cloud is only light to the Egyptians, to the Jews, and the Egyptians can't follow it, it's not light to them. So they didn't even know where they was going. All they see is army. They don't see Yahshua, right? They see people, but they don't see Yahshua. Now you keep your eyes on people. Where you going, Doc? To the lake, right? Because first he was talking about that infinite, a third of infinite host being cast down into the earth plane. But I want to stay on track. You see, this gospel gets you spinning. You get to talking all over. You can't do it in 2 hours, right? So let's keep the course. Right. So the Jews cross over, is my point. So now when the Jews cross over, Yahweh tells Moses, this is the 19th chapter, call him to the foot of his mountain, tells him, wash up, clean up, and he's gonna rain down the law. Rain down the law to the Jews and to the Jews only. Right? So now, when Paul is writing, he's writing to the Jews and Jews only. That's the mistake we made. When the word make a mistake, Paul wrote this too. Romans 2:14, I think, 2nd chapter of Romans. And then, yeah, go ahead, get that.
Romans 2
Mm-hmm.
and 14.
Go ahead.
For when the Gentiles, which have not the law,
Okay, so now we distinguishing again Jews and Gentiles, talking about those that are not born in Hebrew right now. Go ahead. Or Israel.
do by nature the things contained in the law,
Mm-hmm.
these having not the law are at a law unto themselves.
Now look, repeat that, please. Just read it straight through.
For when the Gentiles, which have not the law,
Mm-hmm.
do by nature the things contained in the law,
Mm-hmm.
these having not the law are a law unto themselves.
Now look, we keep the law that wasn't even given to us. I should say we were keeping the law. We ain't doing that no more. We woke. Yahshua has resurrected us. But the law wasn't given to the Gentiles to begin with. To keep. They didn't have a law to keep. Right. Now this is plain English to me. I'm gonna just speak for myself. I'm gonna overthink it. If I was to read this 2 years ago and somebody gave me the truth behind it, which they did, I'm listening. Because everything, when you go to church, it's a complete contradiction of what this Bible says. And the church is teaching and preaching out of the Bible. Right? So if it wasn't given to the Gentiles, why are the Gentiles doing? That's the first question I would ask. But I bet you the preacher can't answer it. But this is why. Let's go give an example. Let's go to 1 Kings, chapter 18. The reason, and we'll read an example, but the reason why is Yahweh was proving himself over and over and over again to these other gods, showing that he was the one and the only. Right? So now, like I said, if somebody's gonna take your God away, then and you ain't got nothing else, then the only thing you can do is fall to the next one. Right? So now they're hearing stories about this Yahweh. Oh, he just wiped out Pharaoh, the biggest God in the world. He was the God of the world. The people thought he was the God himself. The people in Egypt looked at Pharaoh as if the people of the Jews looked at Elohim. They were hand in hand, right? But then if Elohim knocked down Pharaoh, and that's where you put all your faith, so now you know that there's more power here than there. So then you follow that, right? But y'all didn't tell them to follow that. That's the difference. Go ahead. Start 18th chapter, 20th verse.
This is 1 Kings 18 and 20.
Mhm.
So Ahab sent unto all the children of Israel,
Right.
and gathered the prophets together unto Mount Carmel.
Uh-huh.
And Elijah came unto all the people and said, how long halt ye between two opinions?
Right,
If Yahweh be Elohim,
right,
follow him.
right.
But if Baal, then follow
See,
him.
they drawing the line again. That's only it's light and dark, light and dark, light and dark. Same principle, different manifestations. Go ahead.
And the people answered him not a word.
Mm-hmm.
Then said Elijah unto the people, I, even I only,
Mm-hmm.
remain a prophet of Yahweh, but Baal's prophets are 450 men.
Now we say there's power in numbers, right? We use that all the time, and there is strength in numbers. There is. There's strength in numbers. There is power in numbers, but what people don't understand is where this power comes from. Now you can't outnumber Yahweh if he infinite, right? We talked about that. So now there's 450 Baal prophets. That's a lot of people. I got to jump about 45 people. Talk about 450. Go on one. What about just 40? Right? So now, just from a carnal standpoint, if you were to place a bet, you're gonna place a bet on the numbers, right? But they don't know when we say the word power, we're not just saying, okay, fight it. We talking about the source of it. So in this case, we say power, we talking about Yahweh himself. That's why Elijah can stand on his own, right? Go ahead.
Let them therefore give us 2 bullocks,
Yeah.
and let them choose 1 bullock for themselves, and cut it in
Mhm.
pieces, and lay it on wood, and put no fire under. And I will dress the other bullock, and lay it on wood, and put no fire under.
Okay, so now they're going to figure out whose God is God. That's what they're doing. And we're not gonna read the whole thing. Like I said, I'm trying to stick to a point. But what they're doing, they're trying to figure out whose God is more powerful. We're gonna put it to the test, right? Because if you carnal minded, you want somebody to show you something. Sorry, I just gotta digress real quick. It just came on my. I had a conversation with this young lady probably a couple of days ago. She was posting what's his name? Tom, maybe I don't want to misquote his name, but he's a famous preacher. And Michael Todd. Y'all heard that name before? No? Young cat. He young. He probably like 29, 31, 32. Young. He real like boisterous and straightforward and a great speaker. And she was watching him, and I responded, yeah, but the name not Jesus. You know, my typical just starting trouble. Just see where it's gonna go. And she told me that there's nothing I can say that was gonna change her faith. 20 minutes later, we having a different conversation about the difference between personality and maybe like characteristics. Like, what are your characteristics and what's your personality? And I told her that they go hand in hand. And she said, no, they don't, because I just looked up the definition. So my response to her is, you can look that up and you can look up what you believe in, right? So now we're talking about Elijah proving to this who Yahweh is. Yahweh. He said the same. So you got to do it the same way. It's consistent. So if you keep reading on down, Kim, you could jump down to the 36th verse.
This is 1 Kings 18 and
They
36.
prepared it the same way, except Elijah's had water, theirs didn't, right? And the fire is supposed to be contradicting to water, meaning the water should put the fire out. So Elijah at the time drowns his in water to show the power of Yahweh. Go ahead. 30.
And it came to pass at the time of the offering of the evening sacrifice that Elijah the prophet came near and said, Yahweh, the Elohim of Abraham, Isaac, and of Israel, let it be known this day that thou art Elohim in Israel, and that I am thy servant, and that I have done all these things at thy word. Hear me, O Yahweh, hear me, that this people may know that thou art Yahweh Elohim, and that thou hast turned their heart back again. Then the fire of Yahweh fell and consumed the burnt sacrifice.
Okay, keep going.
And the wood, and the stones, and the dust, and licked up the water that was in the trench.
That's perfect right there. And obviously this chapter, you can get a lot deeper into it. But the point I want to make is that Yahweh won. And he won in front of 450 people. Now, if that just took your God away, now those 450 people, I want to worship that God. But those 450 people said, I want to worship. Yahweh didn't tell them to worship him. You see what I'm saying? Yahweh told this 603,550, y'all should worship me at the foot of this mountain, not 551. See what I'm saying? Not 550 plus 450. It was these people and these people only that received the law. But now I'm showing how did the Gentiles start? Where did we come from? How did we? Because Yahweh beat out everything we worship. And he was the only one left, so he's the only thing left to worship. But see, Yahweh didn't tell them to worship him. And that's why people messed up. See, now they're doing the law that Yahweh didn't give to them. So now Paul's going to make it clear. Let's get back to the 9th chapter. Let's go to, start at Hebrews 9 and I think 8.
Hebrews 9
Mm-hmm.
and 8. The Holy Spirit signifying this,
Mm-hmm.
that the way into the Holy of Holies was not yet made manifest,
Right.
while the first tabernacle was yet standing.
See? So now we talk about Yahshua Messiah. The first people was going into that. She had to get into this tabernacle so you can know what a tabernacle is first. Right? So because when Paul writing it, the first people didn't introduce it to you, you wouldn't know what he's writing about. And that's the thing about it. You can go into this Bible and read. But now if you don't have an idea of what specific tabernacle or where the tabernacle is or what it consists of, there's no way you can understand what's being written. And if you don't understand what's being written, the only thing your mind can do is make it up. Right? And like I say all the time, now if I make something up, it may sound good to 250 people. And it may sound wrong to 100 people. But now I got 250 people with me, and then you got 100 people on the other side. Right? But it's all from the same verse. So those misconceptions, that's how it happened. But now it takes us as reasonable human. Y'all was saying like every man. He gave everybody the knowledge to know right from wrong. At least to the point of what your parents can teach you, what they think is right or wrong. Now with that understanding, he's in it. So now even if your parents tell you wrong, you got some sort of gut feeling letting you know. Right? Now if you don't know that that's what that is, then that's another conversation. Okay, keep going. Yeah. Sorry, I'll just read it.
Which was a figure for the time then present.
Now, this tabernacle was a figure of the time then present. Why? It's a figure because this law that was given to the Jews and Jews only brought sin into the world more exceedingly. Right? And now the wages of sin, Paul wrote this too, is death. That means every time you sin, something has to die in your place, whether you know it or not. Conscious, unconscious, sin equals death. That's it. So now it's a figure of the time then present. Keep going.
In which were offered both gifts and sacrifices.
Now look, so talking about them sacrifices. Why? Because they sin. So within this tabernacle, after you enter the first step, I'm gonna let you know which 7 of them. And the second step is also sin sacrifice. Now every time you sin, something has to go burn. If not, you was gonna die. That's how that works. So now keep going. So now the gifts, sacrifices, go ahead.
Offered both gifts and sacrifices. They could not make him that did the service perfect.
Now that's-
as pertaining to his conscience.
And this is the part where I didn't understand coming into this class. Like he understood, it was one of my favorites too. Because it's black and white. It don't make you perfect. So now if this not making me perfect, why am I doing it? You talking about God perfect, everything he do perfect. If I'm in him, the church is supposed to be the body of Jesus. And we supposed to be in the church. That's perfect. So now if I'm doing these sacrifices and these ordinances or the things that were given in this law, people don't even know where they came from. It was given in the law. All this was a part of that law. All this was part of the law. I'm talking about the circumcisions, the baptisms, the Passovers, the temple, and all that was given to them at one time. And it's from that time spoken. They didn't even learn it yet, but they were held accountable. They didn't even know it. At least they remember it. They were told it. So now it didn't make them perfect. So why are you doing it? Not only that, Gentiles, it wasn't even given to you. You wasn't even supposed to be doing it. It didn't make the Jews perfect. That's what they missed. Because they don't even know who he's writing to. He's not writing to the Gentiles because the Gentiles didn't have no law to keep. So then if you reading it as a Gentile, you can't read this and say that's me. That's you. If I'm reading reading a book about a white man named Andy and I'm a black man named AR, I know that they're not writing about me. It's common sense. So anything that's in that book is not pertaining to me. So I shouldn't say, oh, okay, well, Andy went to go get some ice cream on Friday night, so I'm gonna go get some ice cream. It ain't written to me, right? Keep going, please.
which stood only in meal and drink offerings and various washings and cardinal ordinances imposed on them until the time of Reformation.
Until Pentecost. Go over to the 8th chapter, 5th verse.
85.
Mhm.
Who serve unto the example and shadow of heavenly things,
Okay,
as Moses was admonished of Elohim.
now stop right there, bro. We talking about this tabernacle, physical. It serves unto the example and the shadow of heavenly things. A shadow. Now, first off, let's talk about the shadow. You can't have no shadow without no light. That's a fact. You can't have a shadow without a light. Yeah, Yahshua came and said he was a light. So now if you got a shadow, you got to know something more powerful than you is behind it. That's cast in the shadow. Now the beauty thing about a shadow is that a shadow, you follow it, it'll lead you to reality. Right? If you look at this shadow and you follow it all the way down, then you're gonna find out what's cast in the shadow. Yahweh is spirit. Eternal life is to know Yahweh. We always talk about this all the time. You can't know something that you can't see. So what Yahweh had to do is make something that you physically, that you can see. Now within that, he calls death unto people. In the one that you can see. Because the one that you can't see is the one that's gonna make you alive. See, but the one that you can see is the one that you can't see, but it's pointed to. It's physical. It's the one that he showed in the mountain was the one that you can't see. That's why you had to go into the mountain. So I had to be raised up because you couldn't see. So the shadow. We talking about it's a shadow. This one is the shadow. It ain't real. It's not the reality of it. Go ahead, keep reading.
When he was about to make the tabernacle. For see, saith he, that thou make all things according to the pattern shown to be in the mount.
So look, so now even when he was about to make the one that was going to point to the real one, he told him twice in that same chapter. Keanu read in the 40th verse, he also read it in the 8 and 9. So now that's letting Moses know that it ain't him. Right? Say, now you do it how I showed you. Not how you remember it.
That's right.
Because when you remember it, you leave stuff out.
That's right.
So now you make it how I showed it to you from start to finish. He couldn't, because the second he erred in this, and that's supposed to point to this that's perfect, you missed it. It's gone. Now we don't have, you can't tell me to believe if Moses messes up. Because if I find error in that, and this book tells me that represents this, or supposed to bring me to that, then there's a problem in it, right? Yahweh's perfect, ain't no problem in Yahweh. Let me get, where am I trying to go? 2 Corinthians, see, I'm still with Paul. So now 2 Corinthians 4th chapter, 2nd verse.
2 Corinthians 4 and 1.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, seeing we have this ministry, as we have received mercy, we faint not, but have renounced the hidden things of dishonesty,
Right.
not walking in craftiness, nor handling the word of Yahweh deceitfully, but by manifestation of the truth, commending ourselves to every man's conscience in the sight of Elohim.
So now look, first we go in and she walks straight to this. She points out. He said, now all die, and Adam all die in their conscience. Now this physical tabernacle ain't gonna make your conscience perfect. Then you gotta let it go. Right? Because in order to make it into quote unquote heaven, or what the world thinks you're gonna die and go above something, even how what does God say? What did he say? He said, whatever your perception of heaven is, first things first, you gotta know that there was a war there. Second, you can't get back by yourself. You gotta know there's a war there, wherever it is. Because you got it's a round trip. So you say you gotta be coming down, you gotta go back. Right? So we didn't come from physicality, we came from spiritual. And this is why you gotta do away with physicality, because once you get over to this next age, if you're still doing the things of the past, it ain't gonna help you there. Now, if it ain't gonna help you there, you'll get put out. And that's what the ladies for, what you talking about. Speak English. Okay, let's talk about school. If I'm a first grader and they put me in the 5th grade, I have no knowledge from 2nd, 3rd, 4th. I have no knowledge of what it takes to even be in the 5th grade. First thing I'm gonna do is what? Kick me out.
Yeah.
You got no reason being there.
Right.
Because you don't know what's there to begin with. Or, and then if somebody's talking to you in that age, you wouldn't know what they're talking about. You can't even read this Bible in the physical and tell me what it's talking about. Not to the point where it's gonna help my soul. You might come bribe me to get me to go get some ice cream on Friday at 1 o'clock. Keep going. Just a little bit more.
But if our evangel be hid, it is hid to them that are lost.
Now, if it be hid, it's hid to them that are lost. Why is it? Because it's you hiding in plain sight. Because you can go find something that somebody really hiding from you will find it. But if somebody hiding well, they're gonna hide somewhere where you least expect it. Right? So now, like I said, you in darkness, you don't know it's dark till you see some light. So if I know that you've never seen light before, I'm gonna hide in the darkness. But ain't that what he said? Do I gotta get the verse too? Keep going, please.
In whom the spirit of this age have blinded the minds of them which believe not, lest the light of the glorious evangel of the Messiah.
All right. Okay, so we talk about the Messiah. You can stop right there. Go get John 5, start at 36 for me. Give me a couple of points, and I'm gonna have my seat.
John 5 and 36. But I have greater witness than that of John.
So now, go ahead.
For the works which the Father hath given me to finish, the same works I do.
Right.
And they bear witness of me that the Father hath sent me.
Keep going.
And the Father himself, which hath sent me, hath borne witness of me. He hath neither heard his voice at any time nor seen his shape.
All right, so now he hurting their feelings now. Because they got like he's not talking to no Gentile who don't know nothing now. He's talking to the scribes and Pharisees who think that before he came, who did know something. But they the ones that didn't teach it. They knew the law, and they knew it frontwards and backwards. And they know what the law is. See, because the difference between the scribes and the Gentiles is that one, the law was given to the scribes. It was given to the Jews. Two, they had passed down stories on Yahweh, delivering them. That's why he can say, hey, you remember this. I'm the Elohim of this person. He's telling that because they know the stories behind it. They're not dumb. Gentiles are dumb because they weren't given nothing to be taught. Right? So now he's talking to the big dogs. People love to say, oh, Jesus came around and he was doing this. No, he had a purpose. Well, it was to fulfill. So if that may hurt your feelings, then that's what was going to happen. And if you got it wrong, you better hope he hurt your feelings so you can make it right. So now he's telling them, you don't have a love Elohim in you. They thought they did. You best believe they did. Go ahead.
And ye have not his word abiding in you.
And you don't have the word abiding in you. Go ahead.
For whom he hath sent. Him ye believe not.
Now he's talking to him. Look, he sent somebody down here. I'm telling you, I'm the Son of God. And you don't believe me. Matter of fact, you're going to kill me for it. Go ahead.
Ye search the scriptures, for in them you think ye have eternal life.
But the first thing you do is run this book. Go ahead.
And they are they which testify of me.
Now they pointing to me. The physical scriptures they reading, they pointing to the reality of it, or they pointing to spirit. Right? The physical, the law and the prophets, that's your shadow. That's going to point you to the reality of it. So when the law wrote, okay, it's going to be a man that's going to, well, we got it yesterday. Last week, Daniel the 9th chapter, we was reading it. We went and did all this math on the board, ended up 33 and a half. Did it not die? showing you the time of Reformation, or that Pentecost, or the end of that law. Go ahead, keep going.
But ye will not come to me that ye might have life.
Mm-hmm,
I receive not honor from men,
mm-hmm.
but I know you,
I know you.
that ye have not the love of Elohim in you.
Good, you can stop right there. See, he put what President Michael John said when he came to school. He pulling that coat. The old school slang. Ain't that what you say? No, they be pulling that coat. Let me get let's go back to Hebrews 10th chapter. I have my see after that.
Hebrews 10:1.
10:1. Listen.
For the sacrificial law having a shadow of good things to come.
Now we talking about that shadow again. So that sacrificial. If you want to do all these sacrifices, we ain't worried about that no more. Go ahead.
And not the very image of the things, can never with those sacrifices which they offered year by year continually, make the comers thereunto perfect.
Now, it's a lot of people here that don't even know that there was daily administration in the tabernacle, let alone what the tabernacle is. So that's how you know Paul not writing to no Gentile, because there's no way a Gentile could know what this high priest or low priest was doing in this tabernacle. So now he's telling them, it can never. If you can read English, then even if you are a Gentile, it say never, and if you're gonna believe in that, then never mean never. You don't just get to pick and choose